Well, good afternoon and welcome to another Tab Talks. We're talking with Joe Godfrey, president of the Alabama Citizens Action Program, and our topic today is illegal gambling in the state of Alabama. Joe, I understand that the Alabama Supreme Court has given us a rather crystal clear definition of what legal bingo gambling is in our state. What have they said on that topic?
Well, basically, they've said that it is to be played on paper, and you have to call out the numbers. Somebody has to be looking at their card or multiple cards, marking those, and then they have to recognize when they achieve a bingo and they yell out bingo. That can't be done on an electronic slot machine, which is what is trying to be put in some of these
Well, I
gambling
think
outfits.
I heard this last week that Milton McGregor is threatening to open Victoryland by the end of the year, perhaps by Thanksgiving. How is he able to do that, given the Supreme Court's decision?
Well, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Attorney General, saying that he did not have to return the machines that belonged to Victoryland. So now Milton McGregor has indicated that he plans to buy new machines to put in there. And the only reason he's able to do it is because the governor recently announced that he was no longer going to enforce the laws of Alabama, that he was going to leave that up to local district attorneys and sheriffs, and the district attorney and sheriff in Macon County, we anticipate will not enforce that law. So if the governor's not going to enforce the law, Milton McGregor can pretty well do whatever he wants to do.
Are you saying then that the Attorney General will no longer lead the state's effort against illegal gambling?
Well, the Attorney General has indicated that he will do everything he can, but he has to go to the governor to get state troopers released in order to enforce the law. The Attorney General doesn't have any control over the law enforcement officials to send them in and to shut down these operations. So he's at the mercy of the governor. The governor has to release those troopers to the control of the Attorney General. And if he's not going to do it, then there's nothing that the Attorney General can do.
So Governor Bentley has said that we're going to have the gambling laws enforced by the local sheriffs and the local district attorneys.
That is correct. And in essence, there's nobody to appeal to. And my question is, why do we need a governor? Why do we need state troopers? If we're just going to let local officials take care of everything, we can just do away with the office of governor and the office of the ALEA, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, and just let all the local sheriffs and municipal police officers and district attorneys and all those handle the enforcement of the law in Alabama.
So we're not going to have one state law. We're going to have 67 as 67 sheriffs or 67 district attorneys interpret the law.
That's what it appears to be to me, yes.
Well, why did the governor make such a ruling? Any idea?
Well, I can't judge a person's motives. All I can do is judge their actions, but I do know that there is a tremendous amount of pressure on the state legislature to pass a law this coming legislative session to legalize gambling in Alabama. And what you've got the governor now saying we're not going to enforce the law. My guess is that when the legislature gets back into session, when I go down there to talk to them, the legislators are going to say, well, we've got gambling, we can't stop it, we might as well legalize it. So to me, it's just an additional impetus to legalize gambling in Alabama and force this issue on the people of Alabama.
Well, let me back up just a minute and ask. Macon County, they've basically refused to enforce the state laws for years. For example, the judge there would not give the Attorney General a warrant to raid Victoryland. He said there's no probable cause because there's no illegal gambling going on there. If that's the attitude, can you expect the anti-gambling laws or the illegal gambling laws to be enforced in Macon County?
Absolutely not. That's why Milton McGregor feels emboldened to go out and put new machines in his facility. The Supreme Court ruled that those machines couldn't go back in, and so he's buying new machines, and he's emboldened because he feels like there's nobody to stop him. Mm-hmm. So he's acting in defiance of the law, and nobody's going to stop him, so why not?
And Greene County?
Same with Greene County. You'll see the same kind of thing happening in Greene County and possibly Lowndes County.
Well, are we going to have these gambling dens popping up in Alabama again because of the governor's decision?
In certain pockets. Now, the district attorney in Jefferson County has indicated that he will not allow that he will enforce the laws of Alabama concerning illegal gambling. So it will depend on the county and the location and who controls those counties.
Well, that sure does seem like a step backward to me.
Oh, absolutely. It's thumbing their nose at the laws of Alabama, and we've got a governor that will not enforce those laws. So,
most unfortunate. Well, let's change directions for a minute. You talked about gambling this coming legislative session. When the Republicans seized control of the House and the state Senate, they pledged that the gambling laws would be dead on arrival. That's basically what happened the first 4 years. What has changed?
Well, the Speaker of the House, Mike Hubbard, had indicated that he would not allow any pro-gambling bills to come out of committee in the House. And because of that, the Senate never really pushed for it. But now what's happened is you've got the Senate pro tem, Senator Dale Marsh, that is advocating for it. You've got some of the leadership in the House that are pushing the Speaker to let them get something through. And so the Speaker feels like that he's not having the control that he once had for a variety of reasons, I'm sure. But the fact is that he's not going to be able to hold back on it very much longer, it looks like. And part of the problem is that we had Republicans that were on the front lines stopping and opposing this. Today, we're seeing some of those same Republicans that are now pushing for pro-gambling legislation. And they'll say to me some of the same things that the Democratic leaders said back in 2010 and before. Well, we're not for gambling. We just want to let the people vote. And my argument is the people did vote. We live in a representative republic. We elected you to come make the hard decisions. If you're going to make us vote on gambling, let us vote on the general fund budget, the education trust fund budget, and everything else you guys vote on down here. Then we won't need a state legislature, and that'll save the state a lot of money. And they'll usually laugh, kind of like you did. But that's exactly what they're doing. They're abdicating their responsibility to defend the people of Alabama, the citizens, against predatory gambling, which is predatory. It preys on the weakest of our citizens, and it is an attack on people that are prone to addiction, to addictive behaviors. It will destroy families. It'll destroy lives. But somewhere, somebody's putting a lot of money into pushing for this pro-gambling legislation. And we can only speculate where that money's coming from.
I've always understood a statewide vote was only for issues that the legislature thought were appropriate for the state. And it's only those things that they believe are good that they send forth to a statewide vote.
Well, they must think that gambling's good for Alabama, but we've got data from all across the country that shows that's not true. Let me give you an example. The AUM study showed that 11,000 employees would be, there'd be 11,000 jobs started because of these 4 casinos opening up. But you look at the state of Illinois, and they've got far more casinos than Alabama will ever have. And they only have less than 8,000 employees in all of their casinos. They also are not able to fund the prize winners in their lottery. They've got a state-sponsored lottery. They can't even pay the winners in the state-sponsored lottery. It never produces what they promise.
The AUM study was flawed in a lot of ways.
And Alabama Baptist pointed that out. We appreciate your paper pointing that out in your articles.
Well, what kind of legislation do you anticipate related to gambling when the legislature's back in session in February?
Well, during the first special session, Senator Marsh introduced his bill again that would allow for 4 casinos and a state-sponsored lottery. The second special session, he didn't introduce that, but somebody introduced just a lottery bill. He, in his committee, said, no, we don't want to do that because in February I intend to reintroduce my bill, which would include turning the 4 current dog tracks into full-fledged casinos and a state-sponsored lottery.
So in essence, we're facing a wide open gambling, turning Alabama into a pure gambling state again.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. What should we be doing right now as churches?
The most important thing we can do right now is contact our House members and our senators. They're going to be under tremendous pressure to pass this legislation. So if they can hear from enough constituents, I'm talking hundreds, of church members and pastors calling them and saying, we do not want you to sponsor any bill, support any bill. We don't want it voted out of committee. We don't want it voted on, any procedural votes voted on. We don't want any passage out of the House or the Senate. We want you to oppose any pro-gambling bill. They need to hear from their constituents.
Should churches invite their senators or House members to their services?
That would be an
and say
excellent
something?
idea, and face them head on and say, look, we love you. We're praying for you. We're counting on you to stand strong to help the people of Alabama, not hurt the people of Alabama.
And should the legislation legalizing gambling come to a statewide vote, what will ALCAP be doing to help Alabama Baptist?
Well, we'll certainly be rallying the troops, as they say. I'll be talking to Dr. Ireland, my predecessor, and learning from him what he did in the late 1990s with the last lottery vote. And we will blanket this state with information. One advantage we've got now that we didn't have in 1999 is that we've got social media that we'll try to take advantage of and utilize as much as possible. But the other side of that is that the other side will have the social media to promote their ideas as well.
Well, we know how the Governor Siegelman used money and power to try and advance gambling 20 years ago.
Right.
Now we may have to fight that same battle again.
Absolutely. And churches all over the state sent money to ALCAP back in the late 90s to fight it. Churches are having less resources to do that with now. I know when I was pastor at Taylor Road in Montgomery, we sent $5,000 that was supposed to be used to send people on mission trips that summer. We weren't able to send people on mission trips because we had to send money to ALCAP to help fight the gambling. And it looks like people are going to have to take missions and ministry money to do the same thing again if it gets to the people for a vote.
Well, let's pray that our churches will respond, that we'll contact our senators, our representatives, and maybe we can stop this again with the power of God's Spirit working
Amen.
in the hearts and lives of people.
Amen.
Joe, thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you for being a part of this Tab Talk.